Caps on. Alright, I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Usually I do sort of more produced videos. Today I'm going to do a gameplay video where I'm just playing and talking. Never done one before. Well, I mean, I've tried to have conversations while playing a game before, and usually I just take 10 minutes to answer questions, so hopefully that won't happen. Alright, so today I want to talk about paths. There's been a little bit of confusion about paths. They're the toughest feature to describe, so I figured I'd show them to you. But first, a little context. Well, actually, before even the context, I want to point out, this will be a continuing theme in these videos. Everything you see in here is largely temp. You got your temp textures, you got your temp objects, you got stock objects. Basically, 90% of everything that you're going to see in these videos will be replaced or at the very least improved, especially with the interface. Interface graphics are very clunky right now, and if we end up doing Oculus support, they'll be totally unusable, so it'll take a total reworking. So anyway, just keep that in mind. Okay, so I want to go over paths, and I want to give you some context for the paths. So in this world, you're a member of the Pathfinders Guild. And I know I say that a lot, but what does it mean? Well, it means the Pathfinders Guild are a faction of individuals. They've been around for a long time. They're an extremely large and bureaucratic organization whose purpose is to create and maintain the roads that are used in the world for trade and travel. So, of course, this sounds kind of boring, and it is boring, because these days, like, they've gotten so big, and all of the settlements have become so established that they're really just maintaining the status quo. But when the organization began, they were adventurers, they were explorers. When they first settled the continent, they were all about finding out what was new and what was around the next bend. And so a lot of current members of the Pathfinders Guild sort of join up expecting that kind of excitement and are thoroughly disappointed when they're sent off to collect fees for taxes and levies and whatnot. Anyway, so that's what the Pathfinders Guild is, and because they exist, the civilized world in this game world has a trail system, as well as a few like genuine roads, and you can use this trail system to your heart's content in the game. And the trails function largely like normal trails do in this world. They connect, city to city and town to town. And oh dear, hold on, that might be work. No, I'm good. Okay, they connect city to city and town to town, and just basically keep people interconnected and keep the regions communicating and trading with each other. You, as the player, can use them as well, primarily for fast travel. That's their main, most useful purpose. They also serve a couple of other purposes relating to survival. I'm not going to get into those today because they relate more to survival than to the actual paths, so I'm setting that aside, along with a bunch of other things. So, I've got some notes here. So today, I'm going to show you how to modify an existing path and how to create a path from scratch. So, first thing we got to do is we got to get our path tools of the trade here. We got some path markers and landmarks. Now, normally you would craft these using a crafting anvil, but we're taking a shortcut today because I'm going to do a crafting thing later. So, here we are. Here is a path. This is a path that looks pretty much like you'd expect in a game like this, until we reach this little fella. And here's where it starts to get interesting. This is a path marker. It's what the guild uses to mark paths. And you can interact with the path marker and ask it to show you the path. And you can follow it. This sort of impressionistic representation of a path is not intended to be realistic. It sort of recreates the feeling of walking on a path in real life when you're able to sort of, you have a sort of sixth sense about where the path is, and you can sort of feel where it is, even though at any given moment, if you were to take a snapshot of what you were looking at, the path really wouldn't be that obvious. here comes a wolf. I will stay away from him. So yes, that's what this line on the ground is supposed to represent. Now the good news is if you hate this, I find it nice and I find it very useful, but if you hate this and you really don't like it and it breaks your immersion, the good news is you can turn it off, or you can just change it to be a little more subtle. So here I am following this thing. What good is this? Well, aside from just being sort of a useful guide, especially at night, you can also use paths for fast travel. Now I know this interface is a little hard to decipher, but over here I've got some possible directions that I'm highlighting off to the upper left hand side of the screen. And as I highlight them, you can see which direction they're in on the main map. And these are landmarks that I'm highlighting. Landmarks are connected by paths, and any two landmarks can be connected to each other and reached via paths using fast travel. So I'm going to click on one of these. Okay, now I've chosen to go there, and I'm going to fast travel there real quick. And boom, there I go. Okay, so that was handy, right? I'm going to go back to where I was now. Okay, super. Now, what if I want to fast travel to my house? Now, I know I'm basically fast traveling to my house, but say I wanted to fast travel right up to my doorstep, right? Well, I can't really do that because there's no path that leads there. And moreover, there's no landmark that the path leads to. The house itself is a landmark, but for now let's pretend it's not because it's easier to show you a little tutorial. So pretend I want to go right to this spot, right here, using a path. I can do that. I can do it one of two ways. The first way is I can alter an existing path. You can change the shape of the path between two landmarks just by picking up the path markers and putting them somewhere else. You can do this if, see, like this is happening right here. You can do this if the path isn't conforming to the contours of the land or something and you just want to tweak it and make it look nicer. You can also do it to improve the grade of the path. Right now you see this path is red. That's because it's really poor, meaning it forces you to go over a lot of bumps and through a lot of obstructions. Yeah, moving around path markers and ensuring that the path doesn't intersect those obstructions helps improve the grade. And if I was really, if I really wanted an inelegant solution, I could drag these path markers all the way over here and sort of loop it around here. And then while I was fast traveling, I could drop out as I'm passing by the house. But that's kind of inelegant and it stinks, so I'm just going to move it back and we'll create a path from scratch. Okay, that goes there. So to create a path from scratch, well, first you need to be a journeyman. So let's just make that magically happen. And there we are. So I've started to create a path. I lay down my first path marker. I choose a name, and the path is created. And then I just go along my merry way, adding path markers to the path and extending it closer and closer to the house until I'm done. Now, I'm not quite done. Even though the path markers lead up to the house, if you recall, paths that are used for fast travel have to connect to landmarks. So at the very end of this path, I'm also going to place a landmark and add it to the path. Now, a landmark isn't just a little flag and a stick. A landmark could be almost anything. It's a waystone, that sort of Easter Island head we were just looking at. It could also be this sort of shingle. If you're at a tavern, it could be the tavern sign. There are all kinds of ways to indicate a landmark. This just happens to be an easy one for this demonstration. So now I've got a little path set up, and it's getting dark, but I'll still hop over here and show you that fast travel does indeed show up on this map now. See, now instead of 2 options, we have 3. We have waystone, waystone, and landmark in this direction. Again, I know this map is hard to see, but it's an alpha. Alright, so I'm going to choose a landmark. I can't go anywhere else from there because that's the end of that particular stream. Finished adding, and here we go on this ridiculous fast travel. And wasn't that convenient. Much better than walking those 10 feet. That's pretty much all there is to it. That's pathfinding 101. Again, as I mentioned earlier, there's other sort of survival aspects that figure into paths. I'll get into those later. But that's the basic usage for paths. You can use it to connect areas that you want to be able to fast travel to. They're dynamic. You can create them yourself. You can alter them yourself. There are paths in the world, but they're not static. They're often blocked by obstructions. They often have to be rerouted. Often characters ask you to reroute them to serve like specific purposes. They're used in puzzles. They're used in quests. In one case, there's a very sick man who needs to get across a bog, and a notoriously dangerous bog that's peppered with quicksand pits. And he asks you if you, as a pathfinder, wouldn't mind placing a path for him so he can, get out of this place and go about his business. And because he's so weak, in order for you to make a path that he can use, it has to be below a certain grade, below a certain difficulty. So you can't have it going through obstructions or thorns or very, very steep inclines, etc. So it's sort of a game of optimization. Now, again, bear in mind that if you just want to explore, you can ignore all of these quests and puzzles and all of those sorts of things. Ultimately, exploration is the point, and the path's greatest strength is in facilitating that. They help you not have to cross the same ground over and over again, and they help you get to new ground without perishing. But again, I'll get into that later when I do the survival aspects. Oh dear, is my time up? Wow, perfect timing. Okay, I gotta go. All right, it's been wild. Talk to you later.